Hey, Kyle, it's wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's NXT UK from July 7th, 2022. And wow, I just finished it. Great show. The final match was amazing. I'm still kind of got some adrenaline. One of the biggest moves I've ever seen. I had to, I, it was so big that I actually took a video and sent it to my non-wrestling fans and said, I watch a lot of wrestling, but this move right here made me scream out loud. And it legitimately did, and that only happened about 5 minutes ago. So my adrenaline's still pumping through my veins. Let's just get into the show. There's been a lot going on lately. Just a quick recap, like the whole Mustache Mountain exploded. Trent 7 has turned heel, and we left last week with him attacking a fan who the fans are so mad that they're attacking Trent 7. Also, we had new tag team champions, Oliver Carter and Ashton Smith, and Ashton had to get relinquished. They had to relinquish the titles right after winning them. Ashton Smith got injured, and that set up Brooks and Jensen from NXT 2.0 of a lot of people winning the UK titles. So there's been a lot going on. Some other storylines as well. We'll go through them as we go through this show. So let's just start out. We open up with a crowd shot as the announcers tell us tonight it'll be the first ever all Japanese women's tag team when Meiko Satomura takes and teams with Sarray to take on Zia Brookside and Eliza Alexander. And if you remember, Zaya and Eliza were making fun of Sarray, and this led to Meiko sticking up for Sarray last week, which set up this match. Miko's Padawan, if you wanted to call it that, Amelia McKenzie, seemed a little bit upset that Meiko chose Sarray to team up in this match. But in my opinion, Amelia's just being selfish. This was Sarray's battle to begin with. And it's not like Sarray is going to be stuck in NXT UK forever. We mostly think that Sarray is just here for a little visit. You know what I mean? So I would say get over it, Amelia. But I know there's a lot of people like, oh, I can't believe it. Whatever. So we're going to start with our first match. Tiger Turan's music hits, and he comes out for his match. So this is another one of the big storylines that's been going on right now. Kenny Williams has been obsessed with figuring out who Tiger Turan is. And then last week, a very sleep-deprived and wild-looking Kenny said that he finally knows that Tiger Turan is Amir Jordan, which is true. Spoiler alert. It's not really hard to tell though. And Sid had already told Kenny he already set up a match for those two, and that match will be right now. So Kenny Williams finished that last week by saying he's going to beat up Tiger Turan, then rip his mask off and show the whole world that he is indeed Amir Jordan. So Tiger Turan, like I said, is already in the ring. Kenny Williams makes his way out now. Really big boost for him. And Kenny doesn't even take his ring jacket off before rushing Tiger Turan. So that gets the bell of the ring. Tiger easily sidesteps that attack, by the way, and Kenny throws his jacket in anger. Tiger then gets a 2 count early on and then hits a nice arm drag. Tiger maintains wrist control after that arm drag and works over the arm a little bit. Kenny then gets a headlock in, but Tiger reverses it into a headlock of his own. Then another arm drag into an armbar by Tiger Turan. Kenny then gets to the ropes, tries to take a cheap shot, but Tiger dodges that and kicks Kenny to the outside. But Kenny comes back in with a springboard, only to get punched right in the gut by Tiger Turan. So Tiger all over it, all over the Kenny so far in this match, and it's been pretty good so far. Tiger shows some pretty good agility next and hits a rolling flatliner for a 2 count. And then I'll just say, oh, we've seen Amir use that move before, but others have used it too. If you're going to say others have used it too, then don't even say that line then. Anyway, Kenny turns it around and finally with a big chop block to Tiger's knee from the front, not the back. And that gets Kenny in control. He hits some hammering blows to Tiger's face. Tiger tries to fight back, but Kenny hits a vertical suplex for a 2 count. Kenny then mockingly claps for Amir. And Kenny works over a cravat on Tiger. And while the cravat is locked in, Kenny goes to remove Tiger's mask. And Tiger holds on to his mask and counters into a cradle pin for a 2 count. Then Tiger hits some running strikes and a nice suplex on Kenny. A Tiger Turan missile drop kick from the top rope has Kenny in trouble now. So Kenny rolls out of the ring, but Tiger just dives to the outside. Really nice move there again. Kenny gets to his Back in the ring, Kenny gets his knees up to block a top rope senton that Tiger Turan tried to hit. Kenny's in charge now and talks trash, saying, "I know he's a mirror." Tiger just rolls up Kenny during that trash talking for the 1-2-3. The winner by pinfall is Tiger Turan. And then immediately after the match, Kenny just gets up and attacks Tiger Turan. Kenny hits a massive face plant and like the 1%er, that's his finisher. And then takes the mask off of Tiger Turan to reveal underneath Tiger Turan's mask is another mask. This one's all black. So Kenny, now we get some officials coming out, but Kenny's able to take that black mask off too to reveal another black mask. So I like that. It's not like the first time we've ever seen someone wearing a mask once they get unmasked underneath, but I did like that they did it twice. So he removed 2 masks, but there was still a third, and we never see him go for take a third one off. So we can just assume that there's an infinite amount of masks underneath masks, which is funny. And I like that a lot. So the officials now are all over Kenny Williams, and they get him out of there, and this segment ends. So he wasn't successful in beating Tiger Turan or exposing him as a mere Jordan. So Kenny Williams is about to be another sleepless week, I think, for Kenny Williams. We'll see what happens next week. Right after that, they show us the little recap from NXT 2.0, and the reason for that is Briggs and Jensen winning the NXT UK tag titles not too long ago. So if you missed it on NXT 2.0, Briggs and Jensen, along with their she's not really a manager, but just the third person in their group, Fallon Henley, are celebrating those tag title wins. But then Pretty Deadly, who's also on NXT 2.0 and former NXT UK tag champs, interrupted them, saying that they're basically a disgrace to those titles. So that feud continued this week on NXT 2.0 as well, with Pretty Deadly talking about how Essex is the fashion capital of the world, and we don't allow rednecks like you guys, Jensen and Briggs, into Essex. So that was pretty funny. And that'll be a feud. I'm guessing we're going to see it on NXT 2.0, but I wouldn't be surprised if the next taping of NXT UK shows has Briggs and Jensen versus Pretty Deadly of all things. So I'm not quite sure when and where that match will take place, but it's definitely the next people in line for the NXT UK titles are Pretty Deadly. So after that, we see a digital exclusive. So this was not seen on air last week. This is immediately after last week's NXT UK. And remember, Trent Seven had explained his actions in the ring for turning on Tyler Bate, and a fan from the crowd jumped the barricade. So while the security was holding the fan, Trent Seven kicked him right in the yam bags, and that led to where we are now. We're backstage. We see all the officials who are taking Trent Seven away. The head of security calls Trent Seven an absolute disgrace. Trent says, "I'll tell you what's a disgrace. Your security who let a fan jump the barricade." So Trent goes to walk away, but he runs right into Sam Gradwell. And Sam says to Trent, "I've done some horrible things, but after what you did to Tyler, you might be the absolute dirt worst. And that's coming from me." So Trent says, "And you're no one. Toss off." Really funny there. And that will that's not the last we'll see of those two tonight. So we go to an ad break. When we come back, we're in the Performance Center now in the gym, and Oliver Carter's racking up some weights on one side. We look to the other side. Well, before that, remember last week, Di Familia gave Oliver an invitation to join the family, and then they told Oliver to take some time to think it over. So like I was saying, Oliver's racking up weights on one side of the bar. On the other side of the bar, we see Charlie Dempsey, and he's going to go rack the weights on that side. So Oliver says, "What are you doing?" Charlie says, "Well, it looked like you could use a hand." Oliver says, "Well, not your hand." Now Tailman walks in and wearing a suit and says, "Ollie, I still don't have an answer, Ollie." So Rohan and Charlie now surround Oliver, and Tailman asks, "Are you with us or against us?" Oliver says, "Check this out. Why would I want to join a crew where one guy always pokes his eyes and the other two can't even say the name right?" Which is hilarious. And Rohan says, whoa. You have nothing. Ashton left you, and where are your tag team titles? They're gone." Charlie says, "If it wasn't for Ashton, you'd still be a champion." So Oliver says, "All right, chill. All this talking about Ashton, and he's not here. I'm not going to let you talk behind his back like this. How's this for your answer? I'll run through you, You and you. So Rohan says, well, how about me and you one on one? I'll crush you. But Tailman tells Rohan to relax. And Tailman says, I'm taking responsibility for our family. Then Tailman gets into Oliver's face and tells him, I will hurt you. Then Die Familia leaves, and Oliver shows doubt or frustration at this point. He didn't look confident. He knows that he's in the deep water here, 3-on-1. So I mentioned this last week. Of course, Oliver was going to turn down. There was no, there was almost no way Oliver was going to join Die Familia, which means we were going to go into a 3-on-1 kind of thing. So I was trying to brainstorm. Well, eventually, once the 3-on-1, maybe it lasts for a couple weeks, and then Oliver will have to find some friends. So my guesses were potentially some of the tag teams we saw in that Fatal 4-Way where Briggs and Jensen won. So maybe the Wild Boar, Jack Star's tag team, or the Mandrews one might come to uh, the aid of Oliver Carter. But this is a pretty I'm intrigued by where this is going to go. Like I said, the last thing on my mind is Oliver actually joining Die Familia at the end. So I don't think that's going to happen, but that would definitely be a swerve. So I'm looking forward to that. So we go back to ringside, and Josh Morrell's music is playing. He's already in the ring. He's a youngster. Coming out next is Primate. Now, remember, Primate split with Eddie Dennis last we saw him, and he kind of comes out kind of stuck in limbo. He doesn't really have a storyline going. We're not quite sure if Primate's a heel or a face, or the crowd really doesn't know how to react to Primate either when he comes out. So Primate starts fast, but Josh uses agility to avoid damage. Big hip toss hurts Primate's back. The Morrell has the shoulder heavily taped up at this point, I noticed. So I was wondering if that would come into play, but no, that never comes into play. Primate bridges instead of going to the mat on his back, like to avoid being laid out. And Primate's able to hit a monkey flip out of this, but Josh just flips and lands right on his feet. Great spot there. Josh then tries some strikes now, but Primate hits a massive German off the middle rope. Primate then hits a huge forearm and a back body drop, but Josh is able to fight back. Hits a great looking, almost like a Fosbury flop to the outside, but it had like an extra rotation, so I don't know what to call it. Josh then lands on his feet after trying a 450 splash, where Primate had moved. Josh lands again on his feet after a move out of a move to counter out of a move. So great stuff here from Josh and showing his agility. Josh then springboards into the ring and hits a very fluid looking code red. Brilliant move there on Primate to get the 1-2-3. The winner is Josh Morrell by pinfall and somewhat of an upset here. And the crowd absolutely loved it. And we see Primate shaking his head in disbelief in the corner. So then we go to earlier today. Remember, Blair Davenport returned last week. So we see Blair Davenport getting out of her bright yellow car, and she's looking great in her street clothes. They match her black and white hair perfectly. There's like black and white different spots throughout her outfit that really accentuated her look. Loved that. I hope maybe I know she likes to wear green and stuff in her ring gear, but I would definitely like to see a black and white type outfit like this. With this pattern on it as her ring gear. So so the voice behind the camera, I still don't know who the woman behind the camera is, but Blair, she asks Blair, how's it feel to be back in NXT UK? Blair Davenport looks annoyed and says, well, clearly not much has changed because you're still asking me the same riveting questions. Amel is now walking out of the door that Blair was about to walk into, and Amel has her suitcase with her. Looks like she's leaving, but she tells Blair, oh, I was looking for you. Last week you mentioned crushing hope. That better not have been about me. So there's a blonde. I couldn't quite tell at the beginning who the blonde was. She was kind of out of focus and she's wearing sunglasses, but she was walking by, but then stops to listen to this conversation. Blair Davenport says, no, that was just my way of letting the whole NXT UK roster know that whatever plans or hopes you may have, they're soon about to change. So Blair chuckles and then says, oh, by the way, step up to me again and you'll have no hope. So Blair walks into the building and now we see the blonde was Stevie Turner, and she was listening, and Stevie tells Amel, did you get it? No hope. And Amel was already mad from the Blair thing, so now she's livid, and she yells in French and then says, is this funny to you? You know what? I'll kick your ass, and then we'll see who's laughing. And I hope Blair will be watching too, she says. So Stevie doesn't look impressed or bothered by this and just says, incredibly rude. We go to an ad break. So then we they announced that match for next week, by the way. It'll be Amel versus Stevie Turner. So then we come back from the ad break. We see a pretty good video package here for Ilja Dragunov. It's been a while since we've seen Dragunov, and it shows off a bunch of his highlights. Ilya's then putting over all the people he beat, like saying, oh yeah, A-Kid, he had the speed, Rampage Brown was vicious, Roderick Strong had the stamina, and the Irish Ace. Notice that he couldn't call him Jordan Devlin anymore. He had to call him the Irish Ace, as JD McDonough made his debut on NXT 2.0 just a couple days ago, 2 days ago. So Ilja continues after putting over the people that he's beaten and retained against. Ilja says, these opponents were chapters in my reign as NXT UK champion. I've been looking out for new challengers, someone I have never fought before. Wolfgang, a man of integrity, one of the founding fathers of NXT UK. When I look him in the eyes, I see a lion who's been guarding this brand for so many years. And we all know there's only one person who's courageous enough to want to step into the lion's den. Long live the Tsar. So the video ends, and wow, yeah, that should be a great match. And imagine, he just said the lion's den there. Imagine if they go into the WWE warehouse and dust off Ken Shamrock's old lion's den cage for this match. And if can you imagine Wolfgang? I mean, I doubt that's going to happen, but these two in the small cage, the lion's den cage, would be awesome. Anyway, it should still be great without the cage, and I'm not 100% that Ilja's going to win, because it's literally at any given point WWE might want to move Ilja to America, so you can't rule out a title change there. So that should be a great match. We don't know when that's going to happen. They don't have any announcements of when that'll happen, but that's going to be a good one, and I hope it's in the Lions Den. That would be awesome. So anyway, back in the studio, Tate Mayfairs music is playing, and he's already in the ring. And while the youngster Tate is going to be fighting Trent Seven, I didn't expect to see a Trent Seven match tonight. Massive, massive boost from the crowd for Trent Seven. Of course, the announcer still bills Trent Seven from hailing from Mustache Mountain, which got even more boos. And then they show a quick recap of Trent kicking the fan in the yam bags last week. So I don't think I mentioned this last week, but the fan was wearing the original Finn Balor NXT shirt. I own that shirt, and that shirt is amazing. Probably the best shirt he's ever had in WWE, and it was his very first one. So so then Trent takes his time getting ready even after the bell rings, and Tate doesn't take a cheap shot, even though he should have. Like, the bells ring, bro. It's not a heel move to attack an opponent that's not paying attention. But anyway, Trent pays for this immediately as Trent starts with some big strikes. Trent then throws Tate throat first into the ropes and then slams Tate out of the ring. Trent goes and follows him out and hits a couple super loud chops right in front of the crowd. This gets the crowd to boo even more, and those sounded painful. Back in the ring, Tate's trying to fight back, but gets hit with a huge DDT. Trent hasn't moved fast this entire match. He's just slowly destroying Tate. Tate's doing a good job at selling the beatdown and taking some nasty looking bumps. So Tate kicks out of 2, and Trent isn't even bothered by that. Trent gets wrist control, hits some more chops on the already red chest of Tate, and we've got "You Still Suck" chants from the crowd after that. Trent turns his attention to the crowd to yell, "I'm the savior of British sports." And this allows Tate to finally get some strikes in. Tate dodges a wild swing from Trent Seven and hits a nice step-up punch himself, does Tate. Tate then jumps so high on a crossbody that he almost jumped over a standing Trent Seven. That was really, Tate has some great leaping abilities. He must have an amazing drop kick. Anyway, Trent gets up and hits Trent in the face with a nasty spinning back fist immediately into the 7-star lariat that turns Tate inside out with the Rikishi bump for the 1-2-3. The winner by pinfall is Trent Seven. This gets massive boos from the crowd. The announcers are disgusted. After the match, Trent just immediately goes to attack Tate more, and he locks in the figure 7. But Sam Gradwell, of all people, makes the save to big cheers. Gradwell's looking jacked in his white t-shirt, and he also looks like the bald little brother of Big Kaz. He definitely has the same face. Pretty good. I don't know when we're going to get that Gradwell 7 match, but I'm sure it won't be too long away. So now we see Sarray in the back getting ready with Meiko, and Amelia's in the background smiling, but probably a fake smile. And but who knows? Sarray, for the second straight week on NXT UK, is already transformed into the Warrior of the Sun, and she's not in her street clothes, so that's a little weird. I hope this doesn't mean they're totally getting rid of her transformation entrance, because that's one of my favorite entrances currently. I've been watching wrestling for 30 years and went back to watch like the last 40 years as well. So I've seen all the entrances ever. I've seen everything that can happen, and I really liked how different and original the transformation entrance that Sarray had. So I hope that's not gone. Elsewhere, Zia and Eliza are weirdly helping each other stretch. It was kind of awkward looking, and we go to an ad break. So when we come back, it's a little kind of an awkward video package to explain. So stick with me. This is going to be a hype video for the Heritage Cup match next week between Noam Dar and Mark Coffey. And they show a bunch of highlights of Dar winning and keeping the cup, as well as both men training for this match. And while they all this is happening, they talk, and even though they're never in the same room, they seemingly almost have a conversation with each other, which just screams out scripted to me. And I'm now obviously everything in wrestling is scripted, but more so I get upset when they remind me within the show that it's scripted by doing something like this, as opposed to who wins or loses a match. I don't I can get over any wins or losses, but when you remind me that what I'm watching is fake, I then that's what makes me mad. So I didn't like this at all. But that's the number one golden rule to me anyway. You might not have been affected. So anyway, let's get into this. We see Noam Dar looking super stressed out, and they kind of play that high pitched noise that you can hear inside your own head sometimes to note that Dar's super stressed. So Dar says he sits here a victim of my own success. I've cleaned out the entire Heritage Cup division. I really am the best at this. So now we see Mark Coffey, and he says another shot at the Heritage Cup. Then back to Dar, who says, "You're a lucky, lucky boy. A second bite at the apple." Mark says, "It'll be different this time. There's no Joe to tell me how he thinks I should win, and there's no Shaw to help you. No chaos there is there to derail me." So Dar says, "You're feeling the pressure. Mark Coffey, here comes your moment. But for me, the best Heritage Cup champion of all time, it's just another Thursday night." Mark now says, "For me, this is about winning the Heritage Cup. For you, it's about losing everything." Dar says, "I love the pressure. There's levels to this, Mark. I'm at the tippy top." So Mark says, "Shaw's been taking on bets for this match all over. You're writing checks that Noam Dar's ass can't cash. And the whole roster is backing me to win this 100-1. You're going to owe a lot of people a lot of money." So Dar says, "Thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart, because all this cash is going to go into my retirement fund." So Mark says, "For too long, Gallus has been without gold. This is my time. This is our time. This is still our kingdom." So that ends the video package. Like I said, I didn't like how they clearly let you know it was a scripted thing. They had a conversation with each other without being in the same room. And how would they ever know what each other's saying until this is aired? So I didn't like that part. But this match should be good. And it is going to be next week. And it has a lot of stakes on it. And legitimately, now that we know that Wolfgang is getting a title shot against Dragunov, Gallus might hold the Heritage Cup and the NXT UK title very soon, which would be interesting. Because, like I said, even though Ilja is amazing and a monster, at any given point on any given week, I could see WWE wanting to bring Dragunov to America, which means Dragunov would drop the title. So you never know. Also announced, so that is announced next week for the Heritage Cup. And it also announces Tailman versus Oliver Carter, which we set up this week, and Stevie Turner versus Amel, which we set up this week as well. So good stuff all around, setting up your matches for next week. So it's just the main event is the only thing that's next. Back in the studios, Zia Brookside and Eliza Alexander come out to the ring. They have some great music. It's kind of like a remix of TJP's old theme with like the gamer stuff, but massive boos for these two mean girls. Zia doesn't like the boos, but Eliza just basks in them. Then they do the smoke for Sarray's transformation entrance, even though Sarray's already transformed. So that was a little weird. But Sarray comes out. Regardless of any of that, Sarray looks super, super happy. Probably the happiest I've ever seen her in NXT or NXT UK. And she comes out. She must really be enjoying her time in the UK and hanging out with Meiko, like legitimately, because Sarray looks so happy here. Eliza has her tongue out like a dog that's too hot. That was a little awkward. Sarray looks amazing. Her hair's grown out a little bit more. She's got it curled at the ends. Her partner, the final boss, Meiko Satomura, comes out. The massive cheers, probably the biggest cheers of the night. And no Amelia. Amelia stays in the back. So Sarray slaps a high five to Meiko when she gets in the ring, and Sarray looks so happy and excited that this even makes the normally stone-faced Meiko crack a smile. Zia's trying to breathe through the stress and will start the match out with Sarray. And this ends up being a really good one. There's a move in here. Oh my gosh. Like I said at the beginning of this review, I recorded it and sent the clip to my non-wrestling fans and said, bro, I watch a lot of wrestling, and even this move made me scream out loud, like, holy crap. So we'll get into that. But wow. So like I said, Zia and Sarray start out the match. Zia starts out aggressive, gets a handful of Sarray's hair. Sarray gets to the ropes to get a break. Then both trade arm locks. When Sarray does a lucha counter, like a flip into another arm lock, but Zia trips and falls, which made Sarray lose wrist control. She quickly regains it, but that was a slight botch there. But it didn't hurt this match. Zia then does her own flip to counter out of that armbar into a headlock. Sarray counters into a head scissors, but Zia stands on her head and springs out. But the crowd chants, "You still suck," to Zia, who then tags in Eliza. Eliza looks a little clunky right when she gets in the ring, but hits some strikes anyway. Sarray then answers back with a massive forearm, but Sarray has her hair pulled and gets taken to the ground. Sarray gets up, hits a shining wizard, and then tags in Meiko. Meiko blocks a strike and takes down Eliza easily. Meiko then tags in Sarray, and they hit a double team bulldog on Eliza. Zia then grabs Eliza to block a move. So Zia was on the apron still. Eliza then now is able to take control, and she tags in Zia. Then Sarray is now isolated in the wrong corner, but Sarray kicks out of a pin. She's still in trouble, however. Tag back to Eliza. Double team on Sarray. Eliza hits a nice running uppercut. That looked good. Followed by a vertical suplex. Now the crowd's rallying behind Sarray, but Eliza hits a diving elbow to keep control. And Eliza sits on Sarray's back, pulls her hair, and locks her into a camel clutch. This was a high-angle camel clutch. Good flexibility shown by Sarray here. And Sarray counters it into a pin, but can't tag out yet. Sarray rolls through a different move and hits the double stomps through the roll-up while rolling through. This allows her to tag in Meiko. Meiko comes in with a nasty spike DDT and a flip kick to the back of Eliza's head. Meiko then goes up top, hits a frog splash. Looks like this is going to be it, but Zia Brookside breaks it up. Zia then drags Eliza to the corner to tag in. That was a smart veteran move there. Zia then comes in with fire and strikes Meiko a few times, but Zia runs face first into a nasty Meiko roundhouse kick. That looked amazing. Meiko follows this up with a really big European uppercut. Sarray now tags in, and they try to hit a double team, but Eliza's able to pull Zia away from the apron, just like Zia did for her. So Eliza tags in, and they hit a great looking double team on Sarray. Really good, like pushing off with the feet into a move. Meiko then has to come and break that pin up because it looked pretty devastating. Zia runs in and knocks down Meiko, then goes back to the apron and tags in, but they don't go for a double team this move. Instead, Zia hits Meiko on the apron while Eliza goes to cheap shot Sarray, but Sarray dodges this attack and kicks Eliza to the ground to the outside. Then Sarray is able to counter and hit a drop toe hold to Zia on the bottom rope. And this is the move. First, while Sarray's running back to the ropes, Meiko blind tags in. So keep that in mind. But holy crap, this is a move that Sarray's been hitting a lot. When she first got to NXT 2.0, she was hitting it nasty. But then they clearly told Sarray to stop being so rough. And so Sarray has been softened on NXT 2.0 for months on end now, where she's not allowed to hit these rookie recruit women hard. But holy crap, it's not the same rules here in NXT UK. So Sarray springs, runs off the ropes, and hits the nastiest, massive drop kick to a seated opponent I've ever seen. Both Sarray and Xia Li go spilling out of the ring. This was so fluid and nasty looking. Awesome. And like I said, I took a video of that and sent it to my non-wrestling fans and said, look at how nasty this is. It looks like Zaya had her head taken off. So Meiko, I remember, had a blind tag. So she comes in and hits Mia with a spin kick to the stomach, then a step up axe kick to Zaya's back of the head for the 1-2-3. Wow, Zaya got destroyed at the end of that. Holy crap. Sarray comes in, almost knocks over Meiko with a giant hug. And wow, if this is the version of Sarray we get in NXT UK, well, then she can just stay in NXT UK. They make Sarray wrestle completely soft against all the NXT 2.0 girls. And Sarray has a giant smile on her face as NXT UK goes off the air. So crazy ending to that really good main event. I love that Sarray looks so happy. I love that she had her hair done even better than usual. I love that she's able to actually wrestle and doesn't have to wear the kid gloves or however you want to put it. Great stuff. I enjoyed that Tiger Turan versus Kenny Williams match, even though it was pretty short. That was funny that not only one mask was removed to reveal another mask, but a second mask was removed to reveal a third mask. So that was funny. We found out Ilja Dragunov's next challenger will be Wolfgang, and like I keep saying, even though Ilja is a monster, you can't rule out Ilja losing that match, because at any point Ilja might get called over to America. So you can't rule that out. Next week we've got that big Heritage Cup match where a ton of money is on the line. It seems like the story's set up for Mark Coffey to win that match, causing Shaw Samuels to go bankrupt with all the bets, and setting that storyline even further into chaos. So I'm hoping that's what happens. We also set up 2 other matches, both women's matches. Those should be, or wait, no, not both women's matches. One of them's a women's match, Stevie Turner versus Amel. The other one is the Tailman versus Oliver Carter. So remember, the Oliver Carter is going to have to fight through 3-on-1 beatdowns until he can find some friends. My best guess is maybe Wild Boar and Jack Stars, but we'll just have to wait and see. So 3 matches are set up for next week, and we've also got all the. I'm sure we'll see something from Blair Davenport, as well as maybe Wolfgang will respond to getting a title shot. So there's a lot to look forward to. We saw Tate Mayfair and do really good in his match. He got a big win. And then we also saw who was that guy from earlier? Josh Morrell also looked pretty good. So kind of weird. I don't know what they're doing with the symbiotic storyline and Primate and all that. I don't know where they're going to go with that, but I liked what I saw out of Josh Morrell and Tate Mayfair today. So all in all, good stuff. I'm looking forward to next week. I'll definitely be here to review that. Make sure you check out my NXT 2.0 reviews if you're an NXT UK fan. The NXT UK tag team titles are in a storyline over at NXT 2.0. So also, we just had the debut of JD McDonough, formerly known as Jordan Devlin. So if you're not watching 2.0, definitely check those out as well. And I also do NXT Level Up reviews every Friday night. So I hope to talk to you guys again soon. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great one. Peace.